Hello, I am Rico Caviglia, and this is your Ageless Body Self-Care Guide, the operations manual for your body and for your mind. And so today's session is entitled Healthy Cooking. And I'm real excited about this one because, I cook all my own food, make mostly all of my own meals. So if you are going to eat healthy, you need to pretty much make most of your own meals for yourself. So learning how to cook healthy is vitally important. And we're very fortunate to have a great expert and teacher today. Her name is Courtney Contos. She is a chef, and she was mentored by her acclaimed restaurateur father, Bill Contos, of the famous Chez Paul restaurant in Chicago. So the Chez Paul restaurant is where she acquired her love for food and appreciation for high quality. She has a degree in culinary arts from Kendall Culinary School in Chicago, and she opened Chef Contos Kitchen and Store in Vermont, which was featured by Food and Wine magazine as one of the best cooking schools in the world, focusing on culinary education and chef-curated retail. So, Courtney Contos, thanks so much for being here.
Truly a pleasure to be here with you all.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and taking your time to share your knowledge and your wisdom with us. So let's get right into it. So my first question for you is, what really is the difference between healthy cooking and just cooking?
That's a great question. And I like to think about healthy cooking as real ingredients cooked simply. Now, I mean, it sounds just way too simple, but just think about that. Farm fresh ingredients don't need a lot of attention. They are already alive. They are already loaded with nutrients, so we don't have to do too much to them. I also like to think about paying your farmer today and maybe not your doctor tomorrow.
That's so good. Well, it's what I call real food. My very first book I wrote was called Real Food, Real Fast: How to Make Healthy Fast Food. And yeah, so when you're cooking with real food, it makes it a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Real food heals. And I know from my own health journey with rheumatoid arthritis that, and you know this too, and the listeners probably know this, but the body wants to heal. It wants to be healthy. Like that's the goal of our body. It wants to thrive. So if we can remove the roadblocks of the industrial food industry and those oils, we get a tailwind, and you add some fresh ingredients and the body does the rest.
Okay, so then you would say what I'm getting is healthy cooking means, first of all, you got to be cooking with real, live, organic, it's possible, real foods. That's where healthy cooking begins, is having the healthy food, right? And then you got to cook it with in a healthy manner. So talk about some of the uh, best ways and healthiest ways to prepare food.
Well, that's a great question. So some of the healthiest ways to prepare food, now it's going to change seasonally, of course. um, Year round, I use the pressure cooker. Now there's a beautiful German pressure cooker out there made by a company called Fissler, and I know a lot of people are in a hurry. There's no doubt that some people want that fast food just like your cookbook, and I do enjoy making quick soups in the pressure cooker. I think a nice high quality cast iron grill pan and grilling vegetables, grilling meats, grilling seafood is fast, it's easy, it's nutritious. But I'd like to share with you the way I look at maybe the week ahead of cooking and eating, because I know with my clients, people get they get stuck, they get bored. And so first thing I do when I go grocery shopping is I look at all the vegetables, whether you're shopping online or you're at the store, and I think about what haven't I eaten lately, because I really believe that eating a varied and diverse diet, supports our gut health, supports overall health. So not eating the same foods over and over. So I look and I see daikon and I see jicama and I say, oh, I haven't had those in a couple of weeks. Let's put them in the cart. And then I break up the week thinking about my meals in ethnic terms. Now I really believe everyone can do this. I know I'm a chef and it might seem like too complicated, but it's really not, especially when you have the right spices. So I look at my weekdays or meals as I'm going to have an Indian night, I'm going to have a Mexican night, I'm going to have an Asian night. There's definitely going to be some Southern food, some Cuban food, some French, because that's how I was raised, and I like an Italian meal. So then I can incorporate those herbs and those spices with, with standard beautiful ingredients, but the flavors change, right? I feel like I'm transported somewhere special.
Okay. Well, before we get into a little bit more about that, about some of your favorite recipes and some easy meals that you can cook that are really nutritious and easy to cook. Again, just a little bit more about what are the best cooking. Like I use an infrared cooker that cooks things really well, and I think in a healthy manner. And then what about steaming? It's better than boiling, right?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. Steaming. I I do like to use the broiler. I think sometimes that's underused and sometimes really helpful and fast. But steaming and pressure cooking, research suggests that when you're using the pressure cooker, that a lot of those nutrients stay in that sealed environment. And they've made them smaller these days, so the pressure cooker isn't what it used to be. You can have a two-person size pressure cooker and make meals, very, very nourishing meals pretty fast. And absolutely a steamer is key.
Yeah. We'll also talk about the problems with, with frying, heating oils. When you heat oils too high, they become really, really, what they call unfoods, and they really cause a lot of problems. So you don't want to fry things, right? You don't want to heat oils. You don't want to fry things in a skillet, right?
No, I think a lot of people I find over and over think that they are supposed to be cooking with olive oil. And that is not the case. I really try to teach over and over that I like to add the olive oil after. So
Exactly.
if you're roasting vegetables, if you're steaming vegetables, if you're sauteing them, that is not the time to use the olive oil. The olive oil goes on after, once they're on the beautiful plate, and then you drizzle it, because we're all wanting to use olive oil for health benefits, to get those phenols and all the beautiful components in a good olive oil. So there are high heat oils, and this is a huge, I think, challenge in our world today, are the industrial oils that trigger inflammation and wreak havoc on our body. And those are going to be the seed oils, the canola oils. So in my kitchen, I am using coconut oil, and this is for the high heat cooking. Coconut oil, ghee, of course, which is beautiful. And I really hope everyone can make their own ghee, because going through that process and watching those milk solids caramelize and the water evaporate, it's beautiful, and it smells so much different than store-bought ghee. So try to make your own, which is, you just need a stick of unsalted, beautiful butter. But so you have avocado oil, coconut oil, ghee, and of course you can use other animal fats if that's something people are into.
Yeah, that's what I've learned as well. That you can cook in water, right? You don't need to cook in oil, right? You cook in water, and then exactly what you said. And then after you finish cooking, then you put the oil in there for the flavor and the texture and all that.
Exactly.
Excellent point. That's what I've learned as well too. Just real quickly, so ghee is just butter with the impurities removed. Is that what it is?
Correct. So a stick of butter has a percentage of water, fat, and milk solids in it. And then when you take that stick of butter and you put it in a little saucepan, you start to cook it, medium heat, and you hear, I'm always cooking actually with my ears. I know that sounds strange, but try it, and I think you realize how much we are cooking with our ears. So all of a sudden the butter is melting, and you hear this popping, and that popping is the water evaporating out of the butter. And then once that stops, now you're into caramelization of milk solids, and the milk solids in the butter sink to the bottom of the pan in ghee, which is an Ayurvedic fat, and it caramelizes. You want those milk solids to brown. Now the same thing in French cooking is called what? It's called clarified butter. And clarified butter in French cooking, they don't want the milk solids to caramelize. They actually skim them off the top. It's the same product, but in Ayurvedic cooking, the ghee has turned golden brown, and it has a beautiful smell to it.
Well, why is that healthier? Why is that healthier for you than just plain butter?
Well, you've taken out the milk solids, and that's what some people might have allergens to or
Oh,
cause inflammation. So it's similar to like the dairy part of the fat.
okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And of course, you want to avoid aluminum pans and those sort of things as well, right?
So Teflon pans, if anyone has a Teflon pan, I had a client once who said, "Oh, I'll just bring them over to Goodwill." And I said, "No, no, no. You don't want anyone to have those pans. Actually, what you need to do is run over them with your car and then
Yeah.
throw them away." And so at home here, I'm cooking with cast iron, of course, beautiful old cast iron. I actually don't 100% trust the new cast iron pans that Lodge is making and so on. But so I like to go back in time, hop on eBay and get yourself like an old Griswold or a Wagner pan that were made in the USA a long time ago. They're beautiful pans. And then, of course, I'm a big fan of Staub cookware, which is made in France, and it's enamel coated cast iron. Those can go in the oven and they're beautiful to serve in. And then Maviel is my top stainless steel copper beautiful pot, also made in France. I do avoid stainless steel cookware that's made in China.
So what about these ceramic, and I don't know if they're titanium or these ceramic nonstick pans? You think they're okay or not?
There is one company, and so I used to own this kitchen store. I have vetted all these companies, and there is one that I absolutely trust 100%, and it is called ScanPan.
Scan pan?
ScanPan, it's one word. They're made in Denmark,
Okay.
and the company is just loaded with integrity. It is a beautiful company, and everyone can kind of go, take that little seed we planted here and do some more research on them. But they are free of all the BPAs and all that, that toxic stuff, and it still is a, technically non-stick pan without the negative coatings. And the other benefit to ScanPan is I think they honor them either for 10 years or for life. Like it's a little bit of an investment, but then you have that pan forever. And I've brought some tools today that I thought I would show and share if you like later, because I am a big fan of people buying tools and equipment for their kitchen that's meant to last.
Yeah,
Make the investment once and buy the quality and have it forever, and actually end up sharing it with the next generation.
yeah, thank you for that. That's such a good idea and good point. So my other question is, so why do you think that people have such a hard time? So many people just don't really pay attention to cooking, or they don't really realize the importance of it, and they just don't get into learning how to cook healthy or even to cook very much. So what do you think that is?
Well, I think it was a couple generations ago, we actually lost that. And we're not struggling in that way anymore. If I think of, my grandparents, it was what you had, you made use of it, you took the bones, you made stock. I mean, there was no other option. And unfortunately, in our modern day society, we have too much convenience. And we're paying for that as a society in our health. All these chronic conditions are new for a lot of reasons, but one of them is the convenience, for sure, that we're eating out. So I do feel, and I want to be a huge part of the movement of people getting back to the kitchen. And if they have to do it fast, that's fine. But just let's get back to the kitchen and do some cooking with real ingredients, cooked simply.
And there's the love component as well, right? When you actually cook with love and really put your heart into it to try and prepare something, that makes a huge difference as well, right?
You just gave me goosebumps. So absolutely, when your energy goes into that food. So smile. My quote is always smile while you cook, because it tastes better. And then, cooking there is one thing, but then eating, and there's a whole psychology of eating. So let's pause in front of the food and be grateful for it, because that's proven to help digestion. And let's chew until liquid.
Absolutely. And also, I like your point about be about convenience. I always like to say, one of my sayings is, we've pretty much convenienced ourselves to death. I mean, now, like I say, we can't even turn on a speaker, right? You have to, and pretty soon we'll just be, I hope we don't get there, but you'll have a robot and you'll just say, hey, cook me something, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous that we can't do anything for ourselves anymore. We've got convenience ourselves to almost to death. That's right.
And you
Oh,
know, cooking is, I'll just say really quick before I forget, but cooking is a form of meditation for me. It's calming. And I think that people will experience that too, even if they're new at it. It creates a quiet space in your day to be surrounded by beautiful colors. And I'll share some tools that will give you inspiration too. But it is a time of meditation. It's a time to be with the family. And I hope that people look forward to it more often.
yeah, really well said. I totally agree. And that's what I teach about eating. You know, when you eat, you just need to eat and let go of everything else and slow down and really appreciate it and enjoy your food. And the same thing, cooking is a part of that. So the whole process of getting healthy foods in your house, shopping properly, having the right type of cookware, learning how to cook well, and then producing a food that you can eat and really enjoy and know that's it's going to nourish you. It's a whole process of it's a very satisfying process when you get into it.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't you go ahead and show us some more things that you want to show us there, some more utensils and things that you think are really valuable.
Absolutely. You know, about 20 years ago, I was teaching a private cooking class with a client, and we got to peeling some carrots, and she said, I hate peeling carrots. And I looked at her peeler and I said, so would I if I was using that peeler.
Yeah.
So that was when a little light went on for me. And I said, I need to open a kitchen store, and it's going to be the best in the world, featuring the best high quality tools and ingredients, and even pots and pans and kitchen towels. Just everything was the best of the best. I had it for 8 years. And I love to share this knowledge because I see people go online and buy like a bundle of, 50 plastic utensils, or these like, okay, so let's just start off with, I'd say rule number one is try to avoid buying sets of anything for the kitchen. And that includes knives. Knives are a personal tool. You, if possible, hold the knife before you buy it and feel it, because this is a big part of cooking is chopping. And so don't just assume all knives are created equal, and don't just assume that you like your new knife because it's sharp. Your knife should always be sharp. And so back to the peeler. I love this company called Rossla. It's a German tool company. And they first were developing tools for hotel kitchens. So they're German, so I don't need to say too much more about the thought that went into this, but they wanted everything to be meant for people on long shifts to be able to use these tools over and over without any huge inconvenience. So this peeler can be sharpened. So I've had this for 20 years. So these peelers can be sharpened. You can unscrew this. You can also replace this blade if you ever needed to. It's heavy, and all of the Rossla tools are honored for life. Most of these are, people can always reach out and I can share more resources. Now, going through a triumphant healing journey and being part of health, we know that soups play a big role. And I think that we overlook the ladle. So I love the Rossla ladle. It's slightly curved here. So when you're holding it in your hand, it just feels so good. The angle is beautiful, and then it has a lip here. These come in multiple sizes. I happen to have them all, but a beautiful ladle. These little things get you excited to go into your kitchen. You cannot be ladling soups with a piece of plastic. No. The garlic press. Now, chopped garlic has a place. Absolutely. You're going to go into a hot pan, chop the garlic, because it could burn. But a good garlic press, this is that same company, Rossla, Rossle. You don't have to peel the garlic for this press. And again, it's honored for life. So you might spend $50 or $60, or maybe $56, but you'll never have to buy another one. And what's great is you don't have to peel the garlic, and you also don't have to like dig in here and pull everything out. This is just easy to use. They all go in the dishwasher. This, because I see too many people with plastic tools, I have to say that a good wooden, whether it's a spoon or a spatula like this is called a Bell spatula. It's made from a husband and wife I think they're in Ottawa, Canada, maybe, or they're up there, maybe Manitoba. But the company is called Timbers, and they make these beautiful tools. So high quality wood tools from Canada, from the US, from France, or from Italy. are beautiful, and these become a member of the family. You can oil them maybe twice a year, and you could pass these down, they last forever. People so often have dull knives, and one of the reasons is because they've watched cooking shows, and over they've seen these so-called professionals scrape their knife on their cutting board. That is not allowed in my kitchen. We use a bench scraper, also called a dough cutter, typically used for bread. But I always have this next to my cutting board, and next to this is a loaf pan that I use as my compost. So that's my setup. I have a big wooden cutting board, a thick cutting board that I got when I graduated culinary school. Maybe that's been a long time now. A thick cutting board will also last generations. So then I have this right next to it, and a loaf pan. So that's like my setup. I'm ready to cook. I can pick up my chopped vegetables with this. I can pick up my compost scraps, put them in the compost bucket. So one of these, you don't want to use your knife to scrape on the cutting board. And
why is that? Does it dull your knife or what?
It dulls your knife, absolutely, like instantly. So your knife, and we'll just quickly talk about sharpening. Your knife has an edge on it. So when you buy a brand new knife, it has this beautiful edge, and you go to chop like butternut squash, onions, carrots. That beautiful edge is almost like perfectly combed hairs when you buy it, and when you chop, those hairs get tangled up. That's when you need a tool called a steel, and that is that long thing that all of us have in the kitchen that we think sharpens your knife. That technique is called honing, and what that does is it realigns the edge of an already sharp knife. So your steel and your chef's knife are best friends. They're always together. Every time you use your chef's knife, a couple times on your steel, and when your steel doesn't do anything anymore, and you're like, that just doesn't seem to be bringing back the edge of my knife, that's when you need to sharpen your knife. And sharpening removes metal. It removes metal. So you don't want to sharpen all the time, or your knife will disappear. So sharpening is its own thing. So you sharpen your knives, and then you maintain them with a steel, and that technique is called honing.
Can you show us what a steel looks like? I'm not sure what that is.
So you ever buy a knife block or see a knife block, and there's that long metal rod in there?
Oh, okay.
You know, that has like a plastic handle. I don't have one here in my office.
Oh,
but,
okay.
It's a long, like round rod, and it has a handle, right? It's something you see butchers. You often might connect it with a butcher. They're always doing that thing where you're,
okay.
That's what those are. Yeah, that's,
okay. Yeah.
So that's not sharpening, that's bringing back the edge of an already sharp knife. Sharpening removes metal. You may do that once a month. You may do that every 3 months. It just depends on how often you're using that knife. So some knives are going to need to be sharpened more because they're your daily knives. And then you might have, meat carving knives that only need to be sharpened, every so often. Are you with me? Did that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what I'm getting to is no plastic utensils, because even just using them a little bit, some of that plastic can maybe contaminate your food, right?
Yeah, and plastic is definitely the enemy. We don't, it's just another quick tip while I'm thinking about it. If I were to buy frozen blueberries, frozen raspberries, frozen broccoli, anything like that, as soon as I get it home, I put it into a glass jar and into the freezer. I'm not a fan of any kitchen tools, any plastic, because maybe you've done this yourself, but when you do some of these advanced functional medicine lab tests, you see the plastic in your body, and you know that's not good.
So that also was worth mentioning that, all this plastic Tupperware, you got to use glass containers. That's what I use, right?
Yes, glass containers. And I do like a German company, WECK, W-E-C-K. They have beautiful canning jars, and my whole freezer is full of these WECK jars, all different sizes, with my nuts, with seeds, with all the different frozen fruits. Yeah, and then my whole pantry. So if I were to come home with black beans or lentils or brown rice or something like that, immediately it goes into a glass jar.
That sounds so good.
And nothing is stored in plastic.
Well, if I ever get up to Vermont, I hope I can come over for dinner sometime.
Well, you betcha.
Sounds really good.
That's going to be extra
Sounds so good. It sounds so good.
I have two more tools really
Oh,
quick.
okay.
These two here, so these are microplane, and microplane normally you see has plastic handles. This is the professional line that a lot of people don't know they have. I used to sell this line in my store. So all these are, you know, on an article I wrote, my top tools, which you can find. But this is the professional line of microplane. So of course we know this one. This is for zesting. Zest is a great flavor bomb in the kitchen. So lemon zest, orange zest, grapefruit, lime, added to steamed vegetables with a little olive oil will make it so memorable. Now this one here you don't see a lot of. This is probably one of my most used tools. This I use for ginger. So we all love ginger. It's a big part of the health journey, I would say, cooking with ginger. Ginger is fibrous. If you've ever chopped it, you always you can see there's always something to crunch on. And sometimes we want that. Sometimes we want a little matchstick of ginger in a stir fry. But a lot of the times I want it kind of pureed and I want it to just dissolve in there. And that's what this does. So I take a piece of ginger, you peel it with a spoon, quick, and then you grate it right on here. And you end up with a beautiful puree as if it went through a garlic press. And then you look at your piece of ginger and you'll see all the fibers. All those hairs are left behind. So you end up with a beautiful puree. So this is the medium ribbon microplane grater. And that's all I have for show and tell.
But when you, well, thank you so much for that. I think that was really helpful. Just one point, ginger if you eat the whole piece of ginger, though, it's a good prebiotic. I think it's a good prebiotic. It has a lot of the fiber in there. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's true too. And I'll make a tonic quite often in the blender with clean water and ginger and turmeric, and everything goes in, and I don't strain it, and I, just take a shot of that every so often.
Wow, really good. All right, well, how about in the little bit of time we have left here, how about tell us just about a few of your favorite meals that are real nutritious and also that are easy to prepare?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a big fan of using spices and high quality, grown with integrity and harvested with integrity spices. They can take something so simple, and for years I've said, okay, you have cauliflower, and maybe you have a piece of meat. Well, if you add coriander, fennel, and cumin to those, it just changes it completely. And on a different night, you might add fresh herbs. I think using herbs and spices is a game changer in cooking. I'm a big fan of fresh herbs and herb salad and chopping herbs and then using them, whether it's chimichurri, whether it's like a pesto. I feel like a lot of different parts of the world, they have their own kind of herb sauce. In India, we see it come into play in a quick cilantro coconut chutney. So fresh cilantro, dried coconut, some lime juice, beautiful. You have a nice herb sauce. So I like to encourage people to use more herbs and spices because I do believe we all know how to steam something and we know how to grill a piece of protein or saute it. But you can't go wrong with the spices. And if you do, it's still going to be fun, because you're going to be smiling while you're cooking. But here at home, I guess we eat a lot of, we're into, like I said, we break it up. So we have Indian, Mexican, Asian, Southern, Cuban, and that's how I think of the meals. So last night we had lettuce, really delicious Mexican lettuce tacos. It's the end of summer right now. The tomatoes are vibrant. So we made a big pico de gallo kind of thing, but it changes for us. I get my inspiration from cookbooks still. I'm surrounded by lots of cookbooks. And in particular, there's a gentleman, I love Middle Eastern cooking, so I'm a fan of a cookbook, those Jerusalem books, those simple books. If someone's looking to cook more vegetables, that's a little bit unique, I would have to say that Ottolenghi's book called Simple, which he's trying to just use 7 ingredients most of the time, is a great introduction to building your enthusiasm in the kitchen and taking brave little steps and using spices and herbs.
Do you have some of your favorite recipes and some things about spices on your website?
I do, and I have a YouTube channel, and there you're going to find a sauce that I make a lot called mojo. which is a Cuban garlic, lime, olive oil sauce. You're gonna find my quick green, kind of like a green goddess dressing almost, that we will put on vegetables, on fish, on protein. So on my YouTube channel, there's a lot of information there, especially on spices. You know, I'm a chef, but it doesn't mean that I should be the only one excited about, say, peppercorns. Peppercorns are so beautiful. There are so many types of peppercorns, and some of them smell like the forest, like pine needles. And so when you start to branch out, you get excited, just like, you know, we get new clothes, or we get new, you know, what new anything. Let's explore more, getting new spices. And there's some beautiful companies. Le Boite in New York City, Lior, he's known as the spice therapist. He has beautiful single spices and blends. His shawarma seasonings are a staple in our house. And then in Montreal, then they ship to the United States, is called Épices de Cru. 3 words, Épices de Cru. And that is a family-owned spice company, and the quality is outstanding. And when you type in peppercorns on their website, you might see like 15 different types. And I encourage you to try 3 new ones and just explore and have fun with that, because no matter what, a varied and diverse diet is going to support your health. A varied and diverse diet, and that doesn't just mean vegetables, it also means your spices. So change them up, have the variety.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, thank you so much for that. That was so good. And I want to remind our viewers that, you know, there's a PDF that comes along with this video training. So there you can find all the ways to contact Courtney and get all her information and her books. And I think she probably teaches some classes as well. So we really encourage you to stay connected to our experts, because they have so much more to offer you. They have some free gifts and some really great offers. So be sure and check out the PDF that comes with this. So Courtney, that was so good. That was excellent. I think that was really helpful for people. I really appreciate that. And so we're down to our last question here. And this is the hardest one. And this is the hardest one to answer. But I ask all my experts that, and it is, what ideas do you have to actually get people motivated and inspired to actually follow some of your recommendations and actually learn to do and really improve their healthy cooking?
Wow, that's beautiful. You know, health is community, health is contagious. So why not grab a friend or a family member and meet them in the kitchen once a week? I've supported my clients with doing that, and the transformation and the building of enthusiasm around cooking grows. We didn't, in the old days, right? We didn't cook alone. We weren't like isolated alone in the kitchen. We were all together, people together. They came together in community, especially in harvest time. So I say, grab a friend, grab a family member, and say, hey, do you want to come over Saturday morning? I'm going to, you know, get prepared for the week and get organized and deal with the harvest, whatever it is. I know that people can learn from each other, and you know, I think that's a big helpful tool. And then to over and over, find your farmers. Get back to finding farmers wherever you live. I truly believe that there are local eggs, that there can be something, even if you're in a city now. I feel like there's some access to farmers bringing in food. And sometimes, you know, the food isn't as vibrant in the grocery store, but if you can connect with a farmer, the food is still alive and is loaded with nutrients. And then, of course, there's no doubt to get some tools, because these tools are going to lure you in the kitchen because you're going to want to use them.
Yeah, if you have, yeah, that's right. If you have some new tools, you want to use them. So that's so good. I was just going to add, maybe instead of having a happy hour at a bar, how about have a happy hour in your kitchen? You could probably have more fun there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Woohoo! I love it.
I just popped into my head. And so the last thing I wanted to add too, again, you know, keep in mind that the real reason why you want to learn how to cook and cook healthily is, and cook with foods and utensils that don't have a lot of toxins in it, it's for your health, your most important asset. And that's what this whole project is all about, is how to best take care of your body and your mind so you can be healthy, you can live a much more successful and productive and long life, and go out and make a bigger difference in the world. So that's the whole point, that of all these ways that we're teaching you so you can be healthier, so you can make a bigger difference in the world. So Courtney,
Got it. Well,
Thank you
food,
so much. That was excellent. Yeah, go ahead. What's your last word here?
my last word is food is information. Food is information.
Absolutely. And I'd add to that, you know, food is for energy, food is for healing, and food is to enjoy. So choose it wisely. How about that? Courtney, thank you so much. That was excellent. And so my last word here is to viewers, again, knowledge without action is useless. So you got to take action on what you learn. So get out there and put together a healthy kitchen and healthy cooking and learn some healthy cooking. You can learn more from Courtney and you'll be really glad you did. So thanks for being here.
Truly a pleasure. Thank you.